We are down to the final 2 rounds of the 2019 SRO Motorsports America, TC America Championship season. Both of them unfolding here this weekend at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, just a bit north and east of the Strip in downtown Las Vegas. Hi, everybody, and welcome to TC America at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, presented by Run by Cirque du Soleil. I'm Greg Kramer, joined by Calvin Fish, Ryan Marine down on that grid, and we are looking forward to this one getting underway. This is the 15th round of 16 for the TCR cars and the 13th of 14 for the TCA class that will be running together in this field. Both of them have been showing awfully competitive and close times in the qualifying runs, Cal.
Yeah, it's always a competitive field in the TCR and TCR Cup divisions. And then we've got the TCA field, which is very deep. Ton of cars there. And the championship's very much on the line for Michael Hertzen today. He leads the TCR division. And effectively, if he gets to 75 points today, 75% of the race today, Greg, he will score points and clinch the championship. It's been a wonderful season for that team. 3 wins, but he's been so consistent, just always knocking on the door of the big points. And
in the TCR Cup and qualifying, we only have 3 entries, but check this out, folks. They are covered by less than 1/10 of a second on the grid. Incredibly close. And then on pole, after getting a win in his debut weekend in this championship at Road America in the second of the 2 races, Matt Pombo back again with the Mini Cooper JCW team, putting it on pole here, proving that it doesn't matter what the first name is. If it's Pombo, they're fast.
They are always fast, the Pombo combo. And I blame Pepe for confusing us with the M. Pombo sons, but their dad. But yeah, it's going to be a competitive race. Nick Whitmer lines up 30 as the championship lead right now, and he's got 22-point lead over Maxon, so should be enough. But as we've seen in this championship, anything can happen, and this is a very unique race circuit, tough to pass. But with these cars, we'll see how innovative they can be in terms of finding some new passing zones today.
The TCR car is very powerful for the weight that they run. The TCA car is not as powerful, but incredibly nimble. And to a person, the drivers in the TC categories here have said they really like racing this track. They said it's a lot of fun. You can sling the cars around and go after it. And this is a pretty sizable field as well. We have 21 cars that should be taking the green flag.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see how the lower horsepower TCA cars deal with this racetrack. I think it is more suitable for those cars in terms of creating some passing zones, and there's good runoff area in most of the a couple of problems there we're seeing already today. Turns 2 and turns 12, where the exit there's a wall or a big tire bundle that can catch the guys out. But nonetheless, I think through that infill section, I think we're going to see some action today.
Here's a look at the TCA field. You saw the front row, Matt Pombo, Chris Haldeman, then Nick Whitmer, Nate Norenberg, then Tomas Mejia, and Mark Pombo. The top 6 cars on this grid, 5 of them are front-wheel drive. Only Whitmer in a rear-wheel drive car was able to get up there. And he said, we just don't have the launch out of the turns of those very turkey boosted, if you will, minis, or just the grunt of those Honda CRX, or excuse me, Civic SIs. But front-wheel drive, you're in these long apron runs. In these cars, almost 30 seconds total a lap. If it goes green, how strong are these front drive cars going to be at the end? I mean, that's what we're going to see play out, I think.
Yeah, we're seeing the Pirelli P0s in the other classes earlier today. Very little drop-off in terms of the lap times or tire degradation, as we call it. So with these cars, it'll be interesting to see how they fare if we do get that long green flag run. But I think the nice thing with this class is there's such a diversity in the manufacturers in terms of where they develop their speed around this race circuit. So it should create some more overtaking, and I'm excited to see it develop here this afternoon.
And that last car at the back that they sort of did that little side pan on there, exciting to have here, the number 57, that's the Hyundai Veloster Turbo TCA car, making its debut in this championship. Tyler Gonzalez giving it the run, fielded by Brian Herta Autosport with Kerb Agajanian. There it is. And really making its debut, and obviously a public debut, little teething issues and the like, but that is a car that we're looking forward to seeing running in TCA in the future. And if it's run by Brian Hurt Autosport, you know it'll be strong, and these cars have just proven to be quick, whatever the category.
They really have. Championship here last year, manufacturer's title in the TCR division, and driver's titles elsewhere this year in TCR competition. So certainly been a great breakthrough for Brian Herta Autosport into this division of racing. And I know they're just looking at expanding really the brand recognition and exposure for Hyundai in this form of racing.
And just wanted to remind everybody that we're looking forward to this one, 40 minutes of race distance in terms of time here. And again, this is the second to the last penultimate round of the championship for both of these categories. That car rolling right there, starting at the very back of the field. Problem in that that beautiful Alpha, they've been having a problem with the power steering in that car, and it's not one where you can just sort of disconnect it and drive your way through it. It absolutely locks up. The opening lap that's going to be run here on this pace lap will be the first lap that he has turned in this car. They've missed everything to date.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for James Walker, but they're a very experienced crew, and I'm sure they'll just use this. Hopefully the problem is fixed. Use this as a test session, really, for the race here tomorrow, but it's tough to be on the back foot like that. Team that's been really impressive this year. Debut season for James in this form of competition. Reese, so much experience on every level. In fact, had a big endurance win just a few days ago in Atlanta.
If they threw a setup at it and it worked, we know that James Walker can be very, very quick in that beautiful machine fielded by Risi Competizione. And this is a huge lap and a half for him. And we should remind people here that because of the tightness of that first chicane right after the start-finish line, they are opting to start the races on the infield straight in between turns 7 and 8. So they'll basically be running a lap and a half on the pace and parade laps. And as we mentioned, we have Ryan Marine, a third member of our team, down in the pit area. Ryan, always little stories bubbling down there. What's up?
It was cool watching this grid pull off onto the track a few moments ago. These cars look great. They've been fast around this track from the word go. One interesting development, I suppose, is Michael Hertzen, who's racing for a championship. And I had a chance to speak with him in between the last round at Road America and here in Las Vegas. And he made it pretty clear to me he knows what he needs to do to win the championship, and that means don't take risks. He's got a pretty big lead over Nate Vincent, his teammate. So he's just going to be there running around, making sure he gets to the finish, scoring points, and trying to clinch this title, not taking any unnecessary risks. He does not want to throw this thing away. So starting 5th, not what we've come to expect from Michael, but I think he's okay. I think it's according to plan based on what he's been telling me.
Yeah, and it's very tight. Felipe had a nice margin to the pole by half a second, but Hertzen's only 4/10 off his teammate Nate Vincent, who sits on the front row.
Oh, and look at this. We have the number 44, PJ Gronke, a former champion in Touring Car B spec. Really, really quick driver, great guy, and he has just had that season of absolutely abhorrent luck. And it looks like it may have jumped up again, smoke billowing out of the number 44 Tech Sport Subaru. Have to see if it clears or whether he's going to have to duck into pit lane, but that is not the way things have been going. He's such an upbeat guy, and he just wants to get out there and drive. Yeah, smoke is still there, Cal.
Yeah, and it's such a shame. I mean, there's so much effort in terms of being here at the racetrack. If you ever did like a flow chart and network where all of the pieces come together to put a race car together, the personnel that has to travel here to see your day end so early with so much effort put in is disappointing for everyone.
Yep, frustrating, and there he goes, making his way down into pit lane as the rest of the field continues. Of concern, obviously, is that smoke? Is it just burning up whatever is coming out of the car, or is any of it getting down to the track? I don't see anything at the back of that car that's down on the ground, so the track might be okay. That's important for all the other drivers out there.
Yeah, hopefully it's not all down the racing surface. So crew, officials take a look here, see if it's a quick fix or whether he's done for the day.
Awfully frustrating. This Tech Sport team works awfully hard, and just unfortunate for PJ here to see the problems crop up as we take a look at the starting lineup as they are setting out and getting ready to go here. Just want to give for PJ, such a nice guy, the Tundra Technical Solutions, TalentNet, Cabanos Comfort Food, and Eventscape machine. He's got a slew of sponsors that he always brings to the party here. He does it with a lot of people chipping in a little bit of money. And just a great job as we take a look at this field. Interesting what's unfolding here. Not a surprise to see Mason Filippi on pole. He is just quick whenever he shows up. But he's had a reduced championship here. Hasn't made anywhere near the starts of some of the others. In the TCR Cup category, if there was a place Steven Vita was going to be strong, it's here, because this is where he's done an immense amount of laps racing in that EXR program with Alexandra Prima. And he's going to be a strength player here as well. So And one of the guys that we might be thinking here is Victor Gonzalez, who has shown a remarkable gift for tire management and figuring things out here. He's in that white Honda with the yellow trim. So lots of storylines to watch for here. And then the big TCA field. We are coming out of turn 7, and bringing us up to the green will be Mason Filippi in the Copeland Motorsports Hyundai Veloster. Did he get a jump into the lead early? Vincent, you can see a big move deep in the back there by Hertzen trying to squeeze in, realizes that could end badly. Gonzalez is going to go around everybody.
That's Walker.
That's
unbelievable.
Walker.
What a weekend for James Walker. No laps and gets clobbered into the first corner there. Gonzalez just carried a lot of speed in there, and the rear tires, front-wheel drive car just didn't have the rear grip. Loses the tail. Looked like everyone was going to get through and just clips James at the wrong moment there.
And he had actually sent me a text earlier. It said, when I take the green, it'll be the first continuous lap that I've turned this weekend. And he said, I need to learn quickly, and then that happens. It has been a weekend to forget, unfortunately for him. But up front, Filippi, with that great start, controlling things over Vincent, and McCann, who jumps up now into the 3rd spot. And for a guy, this is his first season racing anything other than 4-wheel off-road vehicles. He's really done an absolutely incredible job. Fair amount of debris down on the track at the exit of turn 8 here.
Yeah, I'd have to feel we're going to go full course yellow here.
Yes.
With the amount of debris on the racing surface. There's James Walker Alpha up on 2 wheels there momentarily.
This is that long run through what they call the South Apron here. And we've often kidded Mike McCann Jr. about the reason he's having so much success in his first year racing cars of any kind, that he just doesn't know any better.
Yeah.
And but he just has a real feel for it here. And watch for that car, the white one with the yellow trim, the Medea entry.
Yeah, Hertzen from the 3rd row just gets on the brakes early. Then Gonzalez just loses the tail there. You see McCann Jr. around to the outside, and then just James Walker nowhere to go.
No.
Just tries to pinch it to the inside, but just can't quite clear the Honda.
Yeah, if he would have tried to go to the right, he would have just center punched the Honda. That was his only option. And there they are, full course caution. The double yellows fly here to affect the cleanup of both the debris down on the track and probably to get the number 34 removed here. And well, I'll tell you, for James Walker, he must be just beside himself. And this team as well. I mean, there's no way that car is going to be able to continue. But, you know, you look at the programs that FCP Euro has run, Copeland Motorsports, McCann Racing, and then this little team from Puerto Rico that shows up with the driver and his family and a couple of friends, and have been able to bring home 2 wins in this championship. It's been a remarkable Cinderella-like story.
It's been a great story, and he's such a great personality, and you can see him walking away there a few seconds ago, just shaking his head, can't believe that all of the effort that to bring that car all the way across the country to Las Vegas and out early, and to put it in perspective, I mean, he's had a couple of wins. Hertzen, who leads this championship comfortably, has only had 3 wins on the year, so that puts into perspective what sort of performance Victor has put in this season.
And he was honored a little bit at the SCCA National Championship runoffs a week ago at Virginia International Raceway, the amateur national championships of racing. You know, Honda involved as a major contingency sponsor for all the teams that are running Honda cars, and they had his car on display there in the paddock, and it drew a lot of interest, a lot of people looking at it, enjoying spending time. So tough break for him here, but we are under that full course caution. The Acura NSX safety vehicle, our official safety vehicle, keeping this field under control. Clock is running, though, obviously, 40-minute time to event.
Yeah, and getting back to Mason Filippi, you said he's not been around all season, but he's had more wins than anyone this year with 4, so you expect him to be pretty strong in this race. Dominant performance in qualifying. Qualifying was cut short a little bit, so maybe someone had a bit more in the tank to deliver towards the end of the run. I think that driver may have been Mike McCann Jr. Saw his dad yesterday, and he said we had a really good lap going, and red flag came out, so that lap was aborted, and could have probably got him up onto the front row.
And here's the number 70. That's the Copeland Motorsports entry of Brian Ortiz, who was the champ this year in the MX5 Cup ND2 category with a couple of wins and a slew of podiums. In 2018, he ran some TCA races in our championship at Circuit of the Americas and VIR, and he also did TCR, the TCR class at Lime Rock Park, while also doing some MX5 racing. So he'll be frustrated with this too, another driver who was pretty quick.
Yeah, he's going to be frustrated. I mean, it's tough. I mean, He's had a big year, but to be out so early, everyone was really looking forward to the race here this afternoon.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and our man on the spot, Ryan Marine, running over there to get a word with him as they're getting Walker's car, getting ready to be hooked up onto the wrecker. And there is the number 99 of Gonzalez, the SRO Motorsports machine. They're looking at the car, and obviously I don't think it can get out in this one, but they're just trying to determine, are we going to be able to get that fixed and be ready to run in tomorrow's race. Meanwhile, let's get down to Ryan.
Well, another car that's come into pit lane, unfortunately. It's the 70 of Brian Ortiz, and Brian, you're out of the car. What happened?
I don't know why this happened, but we came from qualifying. The car was fine, and now in the pace lap, it just doesn't go to second gear. So it doesn't. Here we use second too much, and it doesn't make sense to race the car for nothing. So we'll try to fix it for tomorrow and go back again and try to do it.
You have the parts on site that you need to make the repairs for tomorrow?
I'm pretty sure they have another transmission, so we'll change it and try it again tomorrow.
Sorry to see you out. Better luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
You know, he's talking about we lost second gear. You use it a ton here. That's one of the things with these touring cars, the TCA cars, which are very much production-based cars. It's not like you can go in and just do gear swaps and put in the gears that work here. Sometimes the success or failure at a track, if you will, it just comes down to, did you luck into the right ratios for that track, right?
Just the rolling apex speed of certain corners is either going to suit your gear set or not, and you can't adjust it, as you said, individually like on a normal racing transmission. So I think that's why I'm excited to see this race get going here and see the dynamic of the various manufacturers that will have different gear stacks and how they accelerate off a corner. It should create some good racing.
Well, they now have Mr. Walker under tow and heading in, and that Racing Competizione crew, if they want to be running tomorrow, have their work cut out for them once again. All we can do is cross our fingers and hope it didn't get into the steering rack, because this, he said it was rack number 3 that finally worked, and I don't know that they've got others. That's the problem.
Yeah, and it took a hit in the right front, I believe, so that is obviously directly connected to the steering rack. We'll see if they got lucky or not.
Meanwhile, the Las Vegas Motor Speedway safety crew out, effecting a cleanup. There was a little bit of moisture that looked to be coming out of Gonzalez's car after that contact. You could see it, that far truck just off of the nose, but it's pretty much offline. So I think I don't think that is going to be a big issue at all. And as we're getting ready to go back to green, let's check in with Ryan. I think a major update on the minis.
I just wanted to check in with the team owner, Louis Pericarpi. How would you assess that wild start to this race?
So I didn't get to see what happened, but yeah, it's one of those things. A lot on the line for some of the teams here, especially for us trying to chase the Manufacturers Championship. Drivers Championship is still, you know, we need a little luck. We'll see how that goes. We just can't get ahead of ourselves. We just got to see what happens here.
And bringing in a couple of Pombos, you're certainly loaded for bear in this race, and that's with the Manufacturers Championship in mind?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Pombos have been part of the mini team for 3-4 years now, so it's a natural fit for us. They've been super successful with us, and we've been extremely successful with them. So having an M Pombo and both red 59 and 61 car, I got to remember all the names. But, yeah, you know, those guys do really well for us. They always have. And, you know, we can't forget Nate Norenberg. He's been with us also for 3 years. He's always right there in the hunt for a podium. And then we brought in, you know, Tomas Mejia that's done a phenomenal job. I mean, he's going to be the future for sure. He's running, I think, he's the 4th mini in a row, I think, right there. So, yeah, he's been really fast this weekend. We'll see. We've got 2 races. We'll see how this one ends.
Cars look fast. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, I was just thinking, yeah, welcome to our world, Luis, with the M Pombo.
We had a wrong over in America there for a few laps.
Well, they're absolutely, essentially identical cars. And here's the story in the TCA after the issues at the start that we were watching in the TCR category. When they went green, Haldeman got a great jump, got around Matt Pombo, and slotted him into 2nd. But Mark Pombo, he's the guy who moved up from 6th into 3rd, Cal. Just an absolutely rocket ship start. So we've got the 2 Pombo brothers running 2nd and 3rd with then Norenberg and Mejia, and then Tyler Maxson, who's 2nd in the points. sitting back in that 6th spot right now.
Yeah, and as Lewis related to, there's a lot on the line in terms of the teams and manufacturer titles. Right now, Mini JCW team leads Tech Sport by just 12 points, so that could certainly swing here over 2 rounds this weekend. And in the manufacturers, Mini leads Subaru by 13. And there's a 7-point swing just between 1st and 2nd on the road, so lots can happen here.
Well, and I see that the Mini JCW team did us a favor, and on the nose now of Mark Pombo's car, it's black on the hood as opposed to red, so we just have to remember that. Haldeman in the orange Honda Civic SI, then there's Mark. No, that's Matt. There's Mark with the black. All right, we got it now. It's locked
Thanks
in.
for clearing that up for us, Greg.
Yeah. Feeling better?
Yeah, clear as mud.
Well, you never want to show your cards early.
Yep. You're all in, though.
Always. And you're right. When this gets going here, and it's just turned from a 40-minute race into probably when they get around and get green, it'll be a 29-minute sprint race as the Acura NSX safety vehicle. The way they do it is it gets to turn 3, flip the lights off, it just goes straight onto the oval banking, and the field makes the turn into the infield, and then we'll get that restart coming up into turn 7. Important to remember here that you can move around and be out of position a little bit here coming up to the start, but you cannot pass on a restart before you pass that start line, and everybody's got to be mindful of that. As right now, Mason Filippi rolling into the throttle.
Hudson looks to the inside of McCann. We've got to wait for the line. There it is. There's the stripe between 7 and 8. Beautifully
now,
judged by Mason.
Now, can he duck down in? No. Hudson couldn't make that work. Vida trying to make a little bit of a move around the outside, pick up a spot. He may have done it. I think he may have jumped. Well, he had the pole at any rate, and on the restart, it looked like Cole might be able to do something. The second of those silver Audis, but Vida was able to fend him off. The championship leader, TCR Cup, Brian Putt, in the white and blue Audi. And then right in front of this group of TCA machines, led right now by Chris Haldeman.
Yeah, and for Putt, who leads the TCR Cup division, I'm sure he's on the same strategy of Hertz and just try and get to the finish or get to the 75% mark where you'll score points here today, and he should seal his championship as well.
There's Haldeman, and then there's that group of minis, 4 Strong and Mejia, in the car that's got the orange graphic package on it. Norenberg in the yellow one. Mark Pombo right there in the number 59. And behind that group of minis is Tyler Maxson in that Copeland Motorsports Mazda. And then behind them, Cole Cerullo and Taylor Hagler.
Norenberg's got a run on Pombo
did.
there. Goes to the flank of Mark and clears him. Now they even out as they come onto the back stretch.
Mark trying to run a little bit tighter line, a little bit shorter distance. Question is, did he scrub speed in running that tighter radius? He's trying to get the nose down to the inside. Norenberg gives him room. And Pombo looks like he's going to be able to slide back through. Norenberg covering.
Slide Maxson to close in, who's second in the points now, so that multicolored Mazda that you can see there just behind this trio of minis. Looking for some big championship points here today.
The other big story here, Cal, is Wither Nick Whitmer. He's back in 12th. He has dropped like a brick to the back of this pack here.
I wonder if he just got out shoveled on the opening lap with the problems for Walker. Maybe he just was in the wrong place to clear that without losing positions, or is there a technical issue on the 91?
That's a huge story, obviously. Whitmer coming in, big lead in the points, but mathematically not insurmountable.
No, he's 22 points over Maxson, but it's a deep TCA field. We only pay points down to 10th, and you have to do 75% of the race to get any.
Meanwhile, Filippi coming through. Vincent sits second, McCann third, and the 71 points leader, Hertzen. He's being very circumspect right now, Cal.
He really is, just keeping it nice and clean, just wants to bring it home. But sometimes you get out of your rhythm, and there's a tough dynamic to force yourself into where you're not doing what you normally like to do in terms of attacking the car, attacking the corners.
And Putt trying to get a run here on Cole down to the inside. He takes a look here. This is for second in the TCR Cup category. And what differentiates TCR from TCR Cup is just the type of gearbox that they use.
That's right. So Putt's had a great season, but certainly cooled off a little bit. He went on a tear early. Now it's a question of just trying to get it home.
At the first race, that Vita in that white, or excuse me, that red Audi, he showed up. It was on a track he's got laps on in Sonoma, California, and actually put it on pole and let everybody kind of think, well, that's just interesting. And now this is a track that we know he's got lots of laps on. This has come up. When you come here, you'll see a couple of different driving opportunities that unfold here, and one of them is EXR, and he spent a lot of time lapping on this track.
Well, this is a track where it's tough to find a bunch of times, so any little nuance that you can learn through a tremendous amount of laps like he has here will be of benefit.
So Hertzen just laying back, staying in front of this TCR Cup group. It's almost though, I mean, he's dropping off a lot more than you think he would here. I mean, he's back 6 seconds now to McCann.
And his lap times are way off. I mean,
Yeah.
Hertzen's best lap right now is almost 4 seconds off the leaders, so that's being ultra conservative.
Yeah, here's the 91 now, Whitmer.
Still down in 11th here, so I'm not exactly having a great day. I wonder what's going on.
Yeah, any updates from pit lane, Ryan?
Yes, I checked in with the Tech Sport crew, and they do believe that the car is down on power. Remember that the other Tech Sport car, we saw PJ Gronke have the issue right off the bat. That was a belt issue, and that proved terminal. PJ walked straight from the car back to the paddock. Not sure if this one is related, but the crew does believe Nick's car is down on power.
And Damon Scherzen, who is a teammate to Nick Whitmer. As a matter of fact, when Whitmer had that wreck at Watkins Glen, and the first race, and wasn't going to be able to do the second race, Damon stepped out of his car to let Nick have a car to race. And was thinking here that Damon might be playing wingman here and just tucking in behind Whitmer to make sure that Whitmer was going to get some kind of points. But I think Whitmer's pace is so off right now that Whitmer may have radioed in and said, don't worry about me, man, you go.
Yeah, well, they're not in points paying position right now. You got to be in the top 10. They're running 11th and 12th right now. So the swing could be big. It's a 22-point lead for Whitmer coming into this race over Maxon, who runs in the 5th position. 5th would score 10, so could really make it tight going into the final round tomorrow.
You see Maxon in that Mazda right there was able to sneak around Mejia in the number 62 Mini. And that's what moved him up into the 5th spot. Up in front of him is Norenberg in the yellow and black Mini. Filippi Vincent McCann running 1, 2, 3 overall on in TCR. Then Vida Cole Putt, 4th, 5th, 6th, 1, 2, 3 in TCR Cup. And Hertzen now has dropped to 7th overall, so he has got an issue as well.
You'd have to think, I mean, there's one thing, conservative is running a second off the pace, not 4 to 5, so you'd have to think that maybe for the first time this year, Hertzen is having some kind of issue in the race today. This battle is developing nicely. That's Norenberg and Pombo. Maxon right there. Pombo's seem to be struggling just a little bit.
Yeah, and this is big because Pombo's 3rd in the points, only 14 back right now of Maxon, and looks like Maxon.
This is his brother now putting on the pressure for the lead. Matt Pombo looking to the inside of Haldeman as they head down into the turn 3 brake zone. Then side by side between Mark and Norenberg. Maxon going to try and get that Mazda tucked down to the inside of the yellow Mini and probably gets the job done.
Sure looks like it. Almost got a run on Mark himself here. Mark covered it a little bit.
Maxon up to 4th. That's 2 more points. I'll cut further into that 22-point deficit they had coming into this race today. It's going to be nip and tuck here tomorrow for that TCA championship if positions stay as they are right now with Whitmer outside of that top 10.
Yeah, and with Pombo in 3rd, if Maxon can get by him, that certainly will play into Maxon's strengths at this stage, as Matt Pombo doing a great job just hanging right with Haldeman. And then here's that battle.
The Mazda of Maxon all over that inside curb there in turn 9. Trying to hook that front, just get the grip.
This is a tricky turn 11, 12. Huge curb on the apex there, of turn 12. You daren't hit that because it's so steep and abrupt an edge, it can just flick you off into that wall. So everybody trying to be a little circumspect through there. You notice both of the Pombo cars have the STEP on the side. That's the Service Technician Education Program. That is part of the BMW and Mini program to help people get a leg up in becoming a service technician. They even embed a few with the teams when they get to an event. Let's check in a pit lane with Ryan Moraine.
You were wondering if there was a problem with Michael Hertzen, and you guys were spot on. He's getting some low fuel pressure warnings, and at times the fuel pressure cuts out. So they know that if they finish in 7th and make it to the points-paying race distance, which I believe is 70% race distance, that they'll have enough points to win this championship. So that's all they care about right now, just nursing that car, getting it to the point where he can clinch.
It's got to be nerve-wracking for him, though, to have that kind of a problem and, you know, have everything unfolding and then know the next step would be the car just stopping working, and then you're in trouble. And I think Ryan brings up a good point. He's 4th in class, right? But he's 7th overall. But for the TCR cars, they're scored on the overall. And so he's looking at 7th place points.
Yeah, he needs about 10 more minutes of running time, and that should seal the deal for him. But I'm sure he's going to be nervous inside that cockpit right now.
I would think so.
Championships never come easy, Greg.
No, not at all. Meanwhile, Filippi, he's got the best lap of the race, and his last lap not too far off of that, as he's got his margin up to 2.6. And Vida, right there in that red Audi, leading in the TCR Cup class, is eased away just a little bit from the 2 guys behind him, and that's Christian Cole and Brian Putt, and they are putting together a pretty solid battle.
Yeah, so close in qualifying in TCR Cup, just hundredths of a second in it. Putt continued to look down the inside. Cole is the closest man to him in the championship. So, but again, for Putt, if he gets to that 75% mark, he should be good to go in terms of the championship title.
So I'm sure he'd love to be a little bit racier, but I'm sure he's being a little bit careful with the inputs at this stage as well. They're both chasing, again, Steven Vida in the EXR team by Prima Audi, the Morgan, Preyes, and Hexus entry.
Maybe the reins will come off a little bit once they get to that point scoring mark in the race.
Well, that can free you up a little bit, doesn't it?
Oh,
all right,
big time.
You've got the clinch.
Particularly mentally.
Now you can go race here.
Okay, here comes Maxon. This is on Mark Pombo. Number 59 Mini, there you see it. Maxon's car always good on the longer run. I mean, fortunately for the Minis, they're not always the best on tire deck, so this shortened race with the big yellow at the beginning should play into their hands a little bit, but that Mazda's always strong. Lightweight car, very good on the tires.
Yeah, really nimble, really user-friendly, that's for sure. He is hounding that 59 of Pombo. Just got a text from James Walker. He said, not sure if you're getting texts while you're during the broadcast, but please give a shout out to my crew. He said they worked their butt off to get this car to the point it could race. And he said we were ready to go after it. And he said, I'm fine, just really disappointed. A little race control warning there. A few of the cars for track limits. And those track limits have kind of just opened up a little bit as the weekends unfolded, and I think it's smart because race control has been watching and listening, and listening to driver input. And at first it was, if you put any tire off of that purple or the blue or off of the back edge of a curb, well, that's a problem. And they've realized that just opening it up a little bit is making this track just a smidge racier. But you always have the drivers that still want to push that envelope a bit.
Well, I mean, it's a learning curve for everyone. It's a learning curve for the drivers to figure out how to negotiate this race circuit, where to find the passing zones for us to recognize. Oh, and we talk about it. Water on by Max in there, tucks it down to the inside, but not going to be able to clear Pombo before they get into the hard cornering load here around the apron. And I think for the stewards too, in terms of where is the flow of the race circuit, where do the drivers naturally want to go, how much of an advantage does that give them by being out there, and then policing it accordingly.
Max, whoa, look at Pombo dancing on the brakes. Mini really squirming a little bit. Ooh, does Maxon have enough there to get underneath? No.
Pretty evenly matched right now. I think Maxon in clean air, or if he was running by himself, not so much the air, but just out by himself, would probably have little bit more lap time in him, but he's got to clear this Mini first.
Yeah.
All of the time, he's moving up in the points. He's going to score 12 points. We said 22-point deficit coming in.
And Tyler is a young man. He is just a little bit old enough to not be called the kid. Let's put it that way. Obviously, is gifted, and the guy that he's racing right now has huge amounts of experience.
He does. So he's not going to give away that position easily. He's only going to use every ounce of his racecraft here to protect that podium position. Also protect his brother as well, who's running in the second spot. He recognized the fact that Maxon does have good pace. Still 14 minutes to go plus in this race. Could go chase down the other Mini.
And of course, for Mark, he's also final warning for some of these cars, 61, 62, and 74 that have been pushing the envelope of those track limits. That's Pombo, Maxon, and Mejia. And, once you get that final warning, you do it again, suddenly you're spending 24 seconds trundling down pit lane. And that's not what you want to have happen here. Oh, a little bit of a battle here. It's the 0-2 of Stephen Zhu and Cole Cerullo in the blue Honda Civic, having a good duel at it. Let's check in with Ryan.
Well, you guys are watching the fierce battle on track, and the drivers pushing these track limits to the edge, perhaps even over the edge. Dean Copeland has a car right in the mix of that battle. What are you seeing?
I mean, I'm standing here in turn one, and I'm watching the Mini Coopers every lap, 4 tires over the line. You know, the series is giving them warnings 5 laps in a row, so hoping they take a closer look at it. But anyways, you know, everything's good. You know, right now Mason Filippi's leading with the Hyundai Veloster and TCR. It's been a flawless weekend so far. Been on pole. We're leading right now. Just under 13 minutes to go, so hopefully we can bring that home for Hyundai Motorsports North America, and all the guys at Brian Hurd Autosports have been behind this program, and really looking forward to 2020 program with Hyundai North America, and you know, we're really excited about things to come.
And then in your MX-5 car, Tyler's still in that championship hunt. It's been bad luck for Nick, so that's good luck for you.
Yeah, you know, we'll take it any way we can get it. Nick kind of got the better end of the deal at Road America with us having some troubles, so I'll take a little bit of it here.
And good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks, guys.
And there is that overall leading, number 12 from Copeland Motorsports. And that is just a very solid car. There's no question about that. And Mason, it's interesting watching him last year. He started touring car, you know, TCR racing, kind of similar deal. Got the opportunity to run with real-time racing in their Honda Civic Type R when they needed a second driver, and really was able to show what he could do, and then has just backed that up with some great runs this year.
Yeah, it's been a great progression, really. He's got a lot of momentum right now with his career. As you said, started off the year with real-time, finished it off with Brian Hurd Autosport, running at the 8-hour, California 8-hour, and he's hooked up with Brian Hurd Autosport in another championship, and here with Copeland doing great things. He's a nice young man, and he's got the confidence going right now, and that counts for a lot.
He's going to come up into that pretty fierce battle that's starting to build between these minis. Well, that one's been there for a while. And interestingly, who's closing in on that group is Taylor Hagler there in the yellow Honda Civic SI from X Factor Racing. She didn't get the qualifying run she wanted. She started in 10th, but she's up to 7th, and she's reeling these minis in. And this is going to help her because that Mejia get slowed up just a smidge as Filippi slides through.
Yeah, she's had a really impressive performance throughout the course of the year, Greg. Another driver who's showing great momentum and trying to finish off the season on a high. And this weekend counts for a lot. As the one you dwell on throughout the off-season and the winter months, it's nice to be thinking, wow, we were really strong at the end of the season. And she's been there knocking on the door for podiums. And you always look at her lap time. She seems to get better and better as the weekend progresses.
To the point where she's ended up with fast laps that have given her poles in races. I mean, she's got some serious speed here.
It's a great point that today's fast lap sets the pole for tomorrow, which right now, overall, we go to Filippi with a 1:42.4. Vincent with a second fast lap so far today.
And I think Vita would have the pole in the TCR Cup class by 41 thousandths of a second.
Yeah, and Haldeman, who leads right now, is the fastest lap in TCA.
So, actually check that. Putt would be second, 2 1,000ths of a second off of Vita, then Cole. It's just ridiculously close.
So tight it was in qualifying too.
Yeah, exactly. Just fierce. Maxon right now,
He's dropped back a bit.
Yep, he's dropped back, and Nuremberg's starting to put some pressure on him here. Haldeman hanging on up front by about 2 seconds over the 61 of Matt Pombo. Well, I can see what they're talking about, that those minis do tend to dance right on the edge of that track limits here.
Haldeman really, Nuremberg really throwing that mini into that,
too.
little kink there in turn 4.
That was almost rally turn, wasn't it?
Scandinavian flick action.
And you know, we had that early caution that took about 10 minutes out of the 40-minute race. That could only help the front drive cars in terms of that tire deck, right?
Yes, yeah, allows them to go on the attack. They don't have to manage it as much, and probably to the disadvantage of Maxon and some of the other drivers and teams and cars that feel they're a bit better on the longer run.
There is the... Watch what's unfolding here. Just some multi-class traffic unfolding.
Big
Whoa.
lock up there. Wow, Cole was totally committed there down to the inside. That nearly got ugly.
Yeah, and Cole Cerullo, as a result, had to open the wheel up and squirt it off course.
No ABS is allowed on these TCR machines when you're running in a race that's 1 hour or less per the global regulations.
Just wanted to point out when we see that number 57.
Oh, car in the fence.
That's the 02 of Steven Zhu. That's 12, wasn't it?
That's turn 12. That's one of the big problem areas. You get up on that curb, it just throws you out.
Certainly knocked the mirror askew. Otherwise, doesn't look too bad.
Bits and pieces flying there. Hopefully there's no debris on the apron there.
The car right up in front of these two. I was just talking about that number. Well, let's watch it here again.
No, he's just wide. He's just out in the gray all the way. Didn't really get to the apex. Just carried too much speed through 11. Couldn't get to the apex of 12. And the racetrack just doesn't have grip offline. And you could see he's just along for the ride there.
And that allowed both his teammate Cerullo in the blue X-Factor Racing Honda Civic SI to sneak through, but also getting by both of them as a result was the number 57 of Gonzalez. And again, that's that car fielded by Brian Herta Autosport, the TCA Veloster Turbo. And Gonzalez this year ran in the MX-5 Cup in the ND2 category, had a top 5 in 6 starts. He's a 4-time junior karting champ, a young kid that a lot of people say has some serious promise here. I guess if Brian Herta thinks you're good enough to slap behind the wheel.
Yeah, and it's cool to see Brian Herta, you know, back down with these cars and really looking for young talent from the grassroots level.
Haldeman leading in this category. Back Filippi. That margin now up to over 3 seconds, clear of Vincent. Then McCann sitting in third. He's just clocking off the laps here.
Person hanging on to 7th as we now get into the point of the race where you should have achieved 75% of the laps. Basing on the clock solely, but to reward the title just yet, but I think Hertzen is pretty good to a clinch here.
Yeah, his teammate Vincent.
If Vincent was leading, it would be a little bit tighter, but he's the only driver who can really close in on him. That's his teammate, of course. FCP Euro, what a program they've had this year. Made the move to the sequential box and jumped up to the full TCR division.
And yeah, they've really been the consistent team in that. And those Liqui Cortico FCP Euro VWs. There's a look. The Prez number 18. Ooh, big off. Is that Pombo or excuse me, Nuremberg? Looks like he might have a right front tire or suspension issue.
Yeah, he's definitely down on the right front there, Greg. I think you're spot on with that analysis. Yeah, it's off the rim, it looks like.
Yep, just limping it around right now, trying to get it back into pit lane.
Takes the pressure off Maxon a little bit. He's trying to cut into that lead, but if he does retire, suddenly Whitmer's getting up into the top 10, so.
That's a good point.
Gives and takes.
27 there of Christian Cole. And he's been able to drop putt just a bit here, and I think it's just because he either was a little bit more decisive or a little bit more fortunate in when he caught traffic and was able to deal with it as he was working through these minis.
Maxon back on the attack.
Here comes Vida to a fairly comfortable lead. 2.5 seconds clear of Cole right now. Interesting to see here if
he's wide. Tried to get it turned in there, and Pombo didn't want to give it to him, and suddenly he's out in the gray there. There's just zero grip. It's like you're on a skating rink once you get outside of that racing line there through the chicane.
And that's Christian Cole. That silver Audi, as a result, has taken the lead.
It's a tough one because you're supposed to give the driver on the outside a little bit of room to get back onto the apron once you cross the finish line there. See if...
Ooh, lock up by Cole.
Yeah. Oh.
Vito running wide again.
Way wide.
Well, he had that long run through the grass, and those sticky tires, he may still have a bit of junk on them here.
He's just got to do a little reset mentally probably as well.
Yeah.
He's probably frustrated and pushing a little bit too hard. Just get back into the rhythm of what the car will give you, but time is not on his side with just 4 minutes to go.
Looking at the lap times, 40. Cole was actually running a little bit quicker than he was the last couple of laps. Fast laps, Vita's just a 10th quicker than Cole, so.
Maxon really working on Pombo right now. This is for the final podium position in TCA. It'd be a big point swing. If he could get up onto the podium, it would cut the 22-point lead down to 8, I believe, with Whitman now into the top 10, scoring a single point.
And I was just watching on that run through turn 9. I understand clearly now why the Copeland team is really a little bit upset because it looked to me in that one like Pombo, his left tires through that long right-hander were on the back side of that curb, and that's, I think, pushing the limit here. And a final warning was given, so we'll see whether there is any decisive action taken here. I mean, I know you hate to break up a good battle, but when you've made it clear it's a final warning and they're still doing it, we'll have to see. I have a feeling Maxon's finger on that radio button is probably white from pressure here.
Yeah, I'm sure he's talking the team through whenever he feels that someone's afoul of those track limits, just reporting in so the team can then report to the race director.
Well, and it's frustrating when you are making every effort to abide by that and the people you're racing aren't. It understandably a bit upsetting and frustrating.
Well, it also eases the loads on the tires as well,
Sure.
so you're not only defending the position easily, you're also taking the load out of the car on the tire.
There is your leader in TCA, Chris Haldeman. Very talented driver, also his X Factor team, that's his team, and he is for especially SCCA level club racing and other club racing programs, a really stout engine builder. Does a great job. And as we've seen, he's a right fast driver as well.
He is, but he's got to keep the pressure on because Matt Pombo is only about 1.4 seconds behind last time across the stripe, and he looks like he may even be a little bit closer this time.
Yeah, he did trim that down a bit, didn't he? Haldeman, Pombo, Maxon, and Mejia. Then Hagler up into 6th. Boy, she's put in another great drive.
This has been a pretty flawless drive as well for Mason.
Yes, it has.
Dominant in qualifying by half a second. There's I wouldn't say taken off. I mean, Nate Vincent has kept him honest. He's only 2.5 seconds back. But fast lap by 4/10 right now. We'll put him on the pole again for tomorrow.
He just put a lap on Hertzen, and Hertzen looked to be crawling. I mean, he's well past that 70% mark.
Yeah, it's damage control right now for Michael Hertzen.
And I'll tell you, Mason Filippi, when you talk to he and his dad together, you wonder how the two of them could be related. Because his dad is one of those pinging metabolism, high energy, up on the pipe guys. And Mason, out of the car, is about as California chill as you can get.
I was going to say, when you're talking he and his dad, you're more or less just talking to his dad.
Yeah, pretty much. Listening to his dad.
He's a good
And Mason
man.
standing there with his hat and that big bloom of red hair sticking out from underneath it going, yep, yep. And you put that helmet on and he is for real.
His dad's a cool character.
Oh, he is, absolutely.
Bundles of enthusiasm for his boys racing, which is great to watch.
Great fun, yeah. Great character to be sure. Last lap for Mason and the rest of the field. And his lap, that 1 minute 42.47 stands as fast lap. So if it holds, he'll be on pole for the season finale tomorrow.
It's Vincent right there. Only going to take the smallest of bobbles, and
yeah,
he hasn't been able to relax and just cruise. That is for sure.
no, they've both been able to put McCann down a bit here. Then Christian Cole, after that moment by Vita, still hangs on to the lead. Vita's recovered. He's almost exactly a second adrift. And they've both been able to put Brian Putt behind them a little bit. For Brian Putt, he too should be very much aware that he's going to clinch that championship here. But he got caught out, I think, in some traffic, and that's what dropped him back.
It's going to be close. I guesstimate he's going to be like 27 points in front. It's 25 for a win. So he's 2 points inside the margin to seal. That is Brian Putt today, possibly.
Last time through that tricky 11 to 12 complex onto the north apron, and here we go. Mason Filippi and Copeland Motorsports and Hyundai. That Veloster coming through and is going to steal yet another win on this championship. Not too bad. 9 starts, 5 wins.
It's pretty strong.
Yes, it is.
You know when he's around, that's for sure.
It's impressive stuff, and everybody was told by race control on the checkered flag, when you come up to get the checkered flag, don't go into the chicane because the flag station is before the braking zone. And they said, so just get the checkered flag and just continue on and take it straight. So that's what they've done. Here's that battle for the win in TCR Cup, and Vita has trimmed it down, but just not quite enough time, Cal.
No, and local track knowledge was huge. He'll be frustrated. He had the lead, and just let it get away from him a little bit.
Yeah, he said 6 podiums Vita has, but not a win. He thought he'd get one here, but it's Christian Cole instead who gets his 2nd win on the season. So nicely judged and driven by Christian Cole. That's the 2nd of the McCann Racing Audis, the TCR Cup category car. And here we go. Last turn, X Factor Racing, Honda Civic. And Chris Haldeman is going to come through and take another win. He got his 1st win of the season at the most recent event at Road America. Gets a 2nd one here. And then slicing through into 2nd and 3rd are the brothers Pombo. Matt over Mark. Mark comes in here in terms of the points with Whitmer. Mark came in 3rd in the points.
Maxon
is
finishes
4th.
4th, so
Yep.
that should be an 11-point swing, so we'll exactly halve the gap to our leader, Whitmer, who finishes 10th, or is running 10th right now if he can get to the line. So that'll be an 11-point swing. And I'll leave it as an 11-point deficit going into the final round tomorrow.
Okay. And Hagler, again, up from 10th to 6th and ran down, just didn't have enough time to get through on Mejia, but certainly caught them. Just waiting to get the clarification. Yes, Whitmer has taken the checkered flag, and we'll score that lone point, right, for 10th.
Unofficially, we have Michael Hertzen as the TCR champion. Came in here with a 40-point lead, and he lost 12 points to his teammate this afternoon, so should be 28 going in, 25 for a win. It should seal the deal.
It should
By
do
my
it.
rough math, anyway.
I understand that, the rough math part. And again for Brian Putt, finishing 3rd, Cal, with Cole into the lead. And the points coming in for Mr. Putt, he was up by 37. And that should be more than enough. So would that be 10-point swing? So that would be 27 for Brian Putt.
Should be enough.
And there is Nick, just able to bring it home enough to score a point. And that means this battle for the TCA Drivers' Championship is going to be close going into the season finale. The team's championship, FCP Euro, had already clinched that. And manufacturer, pretty much the same for VW. And here they come, the teams and drivers, heading back into the paddock area, except for our winners and champions, who we certainly hope to be hearing from here in short order. And here comes Mason Filippi, who, while he might not be in championship contention, certainly had the win here, as is noted at the top of the results here over Vincent and McCann. Then Cole winning in the TCR Cup. That's the black number with the white background over Vida and Putt. And then Hertzen, you can see back there in 7th, but we believe doing just enough. And then Haldeman and the Pombos, Maxon, Mejia, Hagler, Gonzalez, and Cerullo round out your top 15, with Zhu Whitmer finishing 10th in class. Then Norenberg, Scherzen, Ortiz, Gonzalez after that problem right at the start that involved Walker, and then Gronke as well. Everybody's certainly enjoying this moment here.
Awesome job, man.
So hoping to hear from Mason. We got to get that helmet off. And what a drive he put in today. We talked about that winning percentage he's put together, Ryan. And this kid is pretty special.
And you don't always race in TC America, but when you do, it seems like you win. How special is this?
This was great. It's my mom's birthday, so happy birthday, Mom! And it's just been a great race. TC America puts on a great show. The Hyundai Veloster at TCR with Copeland Motorsports was amazing. Those P0s, they're awesome around Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Can't wait for tomorrow.
Congratulations, best of luck in race 2. And guys, we do have a couple of championships clinched. We're pretty darn sure that Michael Hertzen got it done in TC, Brian Putt in the TCR Cup. So we do have 2 more champions, and we'll hope to talk to them during race 2.
Absolutely, and well earned indeed. And let's not forget, of course, that we have that Titan battle in the TCA category.
Yeah, it's really tight, 11 or 12 points. So we're just working on the math right now, but it's going to be tight and up for grabs.
Absolutely, and they get to do it again tomorrow, and we will be here to call it for you, and it should be a great season finale for the TC America, TCR, and TCA classes here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.